Hello, students, and a very warm welcome to your history class. Well, last week you had an opportunity to learn a lesson from history, the first chapter, which is What is History? And now we will begin the remaining parts of 1.3 and 1.4, which is History and Us, and the Past and the Future. So, students, grab your book and a pencil or a pen to make notes, and I'm assuring you that this class is going to be an interesting one. And if you have any doubts, you can always ask me question through an email, but I don't think that will be required because this class is going to be very interesting. So without wasting much time, let us start with the first chapter, What is History, with the remaining two parts, which is 1.3, History and Us, and 1.4, The Past and the Future. Let's begin. One point three, History and Us. So you're looking at your screen and you see some images, some pictures on your screen. One is showing environmental science, and then you see another picture where the earth looks very degraded. There is no plant, or there are no trees. In fact, you see some smoke and some fire, and the land looks so barren. And you see another image where there is so much of pollution coming out from that factory over there, and the sky is getting the air is getting polluted. So the study of science helps us to find answers to many questions. For example, environmental science studies the problems of degradation of the environment. They study the pollution and also looks for solution. My dear students, there are many science to study. Like you see this image over here, you see an earth science where you study about the earth. When was the earth created, and when how continents got drifted, and what is there inside the earth, and how long ago this earth was made, how old it is. So there are different science that you get to see, that there is this science called earth science. There is another science which is called economics. For example, economics studies what? It studies about finance, money, revenue, economy, and business. So all this has got to do with economics. So like this, there are different kinds of science. It can be earth science, it can be economics, it can be psychology, it can be sociology. And in the same way, every science has its own areas of study. So history studies events of the past. Now, can you name a few events in the past? If I have given some examples over here. Example could be, you must have studied about the great Shivaji Maharaj and how his coronation was, and how he lived his life, and how he fought with his enemies. So that is an event that happened in the past. Or you can also study about India, our country, how we were under the rule of the British, and how the people of India struggled and fought against the British rule, and we got freedom. So this is an event which happened in the past. You all know that we got independence, and that is why we celebrate India's independence on which date? Yes, 15th August. And also we all celebrate Christmas. Why? Because 2000 years ago Christ Jesus was born. So that way, there are many events that takes place in the past, and history studies the events of the past. Now we just understood that there are events that is taking place. Now when you all will grow big, and if you all have small children, then you will say, what happened in 2020? The whole world was in lockdown, And even I was in the lockdown and I had to study this history lesson at home on a computer or on a mobile phone, isn't it? Now, I'm just going to ask you some questions. You can think about the answers and you can either write them or you can say it in your mind. So, these are just general questions. Say, for example, you get up in the morning and you say your mama, you know what? From today onwards, I'm not going to brush my teeth. So, what will happen if we continue not brushing our teeth? And afterwards, you tell your mama, you know what? I'm not going to take bath from today. What happens if you don't take bath for a week? Can you feel it? Can you smell it? Okay. Now, what happens if we all plant more trees? You can see what is happening. And what happens when we study very well? Think about it. You are all studying very, very well. What happens? So I'm sure for the first two questions I asked, the answers were very negative, isn't it? Answers like teeth will decay, our body will smell, there will be germs and bacteria on our teeth and body. And for our questions for 3 and 4, the answers were all positive, right? Like we will get oxygen, pollution will become less, there will be rain, good rainfall. We can also get, if we study well, we will get better marks, become good students, our mind will become sharper. So, in short, what I want to tell you is that, so every action that we do, I repeat again, so every action of ours will have a consequence. There's going to be a result, there's going to be a consequence, and those consequences can be good or bad. So you all thought about consequences. Whatever we do, it can either have a good consequence or a bad consequence, a good result or a bad result. That is why we have to be very careful with what we do, because there's going to be a result. So individual or collective actions of human beings have consequences. They result in an environment that may be favorable for the progress of society. This affects our day-to-day life. Say, for example, if the people of a village work together and help one another, the village makes good progress. However, if the people cannot come together, they're all fighting, don't want to help. So, if the people cannot come together, it put obstacles in the way of its development, which means that the village will not develop or progress. Now, what does history do? You see this man trying to search something, trying to find some answer because there are some question marks down there. So, similarly, history attempts to find out answers to many questions by studying the way of thinking of past society, why they behave like this, what made them do like this, what pressure they had, or why they behave so nicely. So the history is studying the way of thinking of past society, their actions, and whatever action I said earlier will have a consequence. There will be a result. So therefore, they are studying their thinking, they are studying their actions, and if you know the action is like this, then the result will be like that. So they are studying their actions and the consequences. The study of history makes it possible for us to understand what is and what is not favorable for the progress of human society. Now let us take an example. I have this picture over here. It says we are one. Who we are one? Yes, people belonging to different religion, whether it is Hinduism, whether it is Christianity, or whether it is Islamic religion or any faith for that matter. In India, we are trying to live as one, unity. Because united we stand, divided we fall. Now, why are we trying our best to live together in unity? Because there is a history for this. When the British ruled our country, they had a policy called divide and rule. Divide, they made a division between some people belonging to different religion, and the British were ruling the country. So what is happening? The people belonging to this religion are fighting with each other. And when they are fighting with each other, the British was taking advantage. And as a result, they were ruling the country, and also the people of the country is like under slavery, no freedom. That is why we have learnt from the past that we cannot fight with each other. It is not good. Not good for the person, and not good for the society, and not good for the country. And that is the reason why we are all one. We understand that this world is like a family. There is a saying, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Vasudeva Kutumbakam means the world is like a family. We all are one. So history thus provides us with guidelines about how we should behave today in order to shape a good future. So, students, there are guidelines that we need to follow so that we can behave properly. So, what we do today, it will affect our future. So, what if we do good things today, our future will be good. If we plant more trees today, then the children after 20 years or 15 years will benefit of breathing in clean air. If the water is clean, we don't throw things in the water, the plastic, then the fish and the marine life, they will live nicely. So there are guidelines. So as I said earlier, history thus provides us with guidelines about how we should behave today in order to shape a good future. My dear students, can you name some great people of our country or of the world? Yes, you can see some images and you can think of some names like Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, the father of our nation, Abdul Kalam sir, Mother Teresa. So by telling us the life stories of great people, history also serves to inspire and motivate us. We get inspiration, we get motivation. I'll give you one example. I'll give you my example. I am very fond of Bapu. Bapu is the father of our nation, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. I have read his autobiography, My Experiments with Truth, which is a very thick book, almost 3 times. And I get so inspired by what Gandhiji has worked that it is helping me in my daily life. And at any time, if I have any doubts, I just have to message or call his great grandson and he clears my doubt. So that way I teach history with lot of enthusiasm. If you want to ever know some stories of Gandhiji, you can always meet me and I will tell you some very nice stories which you will like. So again I am telling you, when you read the stories of great people in this world or in this about the country India, it will serve us to inspire and to motivate us. By studying history, we get to know about the give and take that took place between our own and other civilization. So every country has its civilization. We are well known for our rich culture. So for example, in the Indian civilization, the idea of zero, the number digit 0, was one of the most important inventions of all time, and this contribution to the world was given from India, the digit 0. Also, another information, there is this book called Sushruta Samhita. It's a very comprehensive textbook written by Sushruta in the 6th century BC before Christ on ancient surgery. So people in those days, olden days, ancient days, they were doing plastic surgery, which nowadays people do it in hospital, which is very expensive. Also, say for example, if I take our neighboring country China, even they contributed to the world. For example, we all have paper, right, in our books. So paper making came from the Chinese civilization. Printing came from there, China. Gunpowder came from China, and a compass. Compass is a tool for people who sail in the ship that will give direction to find, are we going towards north or south. Even that was one of the inventions of ancient China to the world. So I said, by studying history, we get to know about the give and take that took place between our own and other civilizations. My dear students, every village, city, district, state, and country has its own history. Now, I will give you another example. I love giving you all examples. So, this example is not there, of course, in your textbook. Now, do you know the name of a city? Mumbai. Correct. Do you know the name earlier what it was? For those who don't know, Mumbai was known as Bombay, and Bombay belonged to the Portugal. Portugal is another country. British is a country, that is England. Portugal is another country. France is another country. So that way, Bombay was belonging to the Portugal. Now, Bombay was given as a dowry. Now, what is dowry? When a girl get married and goes to the boy's house, then the girl's family have to give gifts, very expensive gifts. It can be money, it can be jewelry, like this. That same way, on 21st of May 1662, so many years ago, the marriage treaty of Charles II of England and Catherine of Braganza, daughter of a king, King John IV of Portugal, placed Bombay, which is today called Mumbai, placed Bombay in the possession of the British Empire as part of dowry of Catherine to Charles. So I just told you just now, every village, city, district, state and country has its own history. Similarly, the earth, its mountains, water bodies, the animal world, mankind all have their own history. Every science too has a history. It tells of the many scientific discoveries that brought about important changes in human civilization and of the scientists who made those discoveries. Interesting, right? So now we come to the last part of this chapter, which says the past and the future. There is a connection with what we do in the past, and as a result, the consequences that will have in the future. So the past, that was yesterday, present, which is today, and future, which will come tomorrow, are linked by a continuous chain of events. Like, for example, if you look at the picture, we see some people following Gandhiji. This is the Dandi March actually. Bapu walking from Sabarmati Ashram to Dandi. Like this, there are many great leaders who continuously worked very hard for the freedom of India. We had Bhagat Singh, Sarojini Naidu, Lokmanya Tilak, Gandhiji. So the Indian people fought against the British government to get independence. Now this is an historical action. As a result, India became an independent nation on 15th August 1947. So we can say that independence was a consequence. Independence was a result of an action. Now what was that action? The action was the Indian people's struggle for independence. In this way, the events of today, like what is happening today, are linked with the past actions. When we understand this, we realize that the future depends on past events. So now whatever we are doing today, right now, it is because what happened in the past, and whatever that will happen in the future is because what we are going to do today. You see, it is a continuous link between past, present, and the future, and this is what we learn from history. Now, I give you an example. If you look at the olden days, in the ancient time, the Stone Age, for example, man began making tools. Now, where he got the material? He must have looked around. He saw some tree, some stones, some branches, some bones of an animal. So, man began making tools from materials available in nature. And that is how he learnt many things. He learnt how to make fire, and he also invented the wheel. As a result, now we have all vehicles, right, running on wheels. So, this is how man began to use things from nature to make things. Therefore, the next generation added to these developments. Technology developed further hand in hand with the physical and intellectual development of man. Man is getting more stronger mentally, physically. Therefore, even technology became better. This process is going on continuously, even today. Inventions of today, whatever we are inventing right now, they are only possible in the foundation of the discoveries and inventions of the past. So, if I want to add a wheel to my vehicle, I will not go and try to rediscover how to make it. The wheel is already discovered. I just need to use the same formula, and maybe I can add better technology to make it much better. You see? So, everything is linked with each other. Past, the present, and the future are linked with each other. So, what do we learn from this? Right now, we are in lockdown. Make good use of time. Study well. Use dictionary. Use different applications. You see some videos. Read a lot. Write a lot. Because this is a time you can develop yourself. How many of you all have poor handwriting? If you have poor handwriting, work on your handwriting. If your handwriting is good, then work on the speed, because when you go to higher classes, you have so much to write, so your speed has to be there. So you have to keep working daily to make yourself better. So what you do today, there will be a consequence, and I want your consequence to be a good one, right? So God bless you. Study well, work hard, be at home, listen to your parents, read your lessons once again. It is very simple. I am sure you must have enjoyed this lesson today, and wait for the next video, and you will be learning much more with we teachers. All the best. See you next class.